Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Now today we're going to talk about tyres on Le Mans Ultimate, or more specifically, how long do they last, what's the drop off regarding time, and what's the best time to actually change them. Now I did a bit of a search on Google and somebody said that there's plenty of life left in them until you get to about 20%. But I thought that was a really low number. I thought that they would have degraded much more performance-wise when you get near that number. So I thought the only way to find out for certain is to test it. So let me set the scene. We are here at Circuit Paul Ricard because that's where this week's online championship is. And I've set the session time to 7:15 in the evening, a similar time to what's in the online championship. I've set the track state to saturated, but I've set them both to static. So the track's not going to change and the time's not going to change. Now, I could have made life much easier for myself. I could have set the tyre wear to 2 times or 4 times if you can, but that wouldn't really be a true reflection of what happens to the tyre and your lap times. So we've got realistic tyre wear, and I've set up a 4-hour practice session. And a bit of a spoiler, that wasn't long enough. So for this session, I'm going to run it like I was in the race. I've got a fuel target in mind that I want to hit every single lap. I'm going to try and stick to that. I'm going to try and drive the same as I normally would. I'm going to try and look after the tyres, but I'm not going to baby them either. But the driving that I do in this stint is what I would do in the race. So stint 1 commenced, and I didn't realise at this point how long I was going to be sat in the rig. I thought the tyres would have worn out way quicker. We did about 29 laps, and our best lap before the end of the stint was a 2:06.144. That's the fastest lap towards the end of the stint. And that's the point I'm going to use as my reference point for the other times. So at the end of the first stint, 29 laps, this is how my tyre wear looked. The worst off being the rear right. That was sitting at 72%. Left side's on 74, front right 76. So then we went out for stint number 2, and our best lap towards the end of that stint before we ran out of fuel was a 2:07.240. So over a second slower than it was at the end of the first stint. And tyre wear at the end of that stint is as follows: 47% rear right, 48% front left, rear left 51%, front right 52%. But even though the lap times were about a second slower, the car actually felt really stable. I had one moment on lap number 50, but apart from that, the car felt really planted. And if I was in an endurance session, I would have been quite happy running the car at that state. So we went out there for stint number 3, and our best lap towards the end of the stint when we were low on fuel was a 2:07.867. So just over 6/10 slower than it was at the end of the second stint, but 1.7 seconds slower than we were at the end of the first stint. Now, bear in mind it takes 12 seconds to change all 4 tyres, and you're going to lose a little bit of time on the outlap, the first couple of laps until the tyres warm up. But if you're going to be going 1.7 seconds per lap quicker over 30 laps, that's a lot of time. So the tyres at this point were way past their best. And at the end of that stint, the rear right was at 23%, the front left at 24%, the rear left at 28%, and the front right at 30%. The tyres really didn't have anything left. But we ploughed on, we filled up the tank, and we went back out for stint 4. And we didn't actually get the full stint in before the timer ran out at the end of the session. We did the whole 4 hours. But our best lap at the end, or towards the end of that stint, was a 2:10.649. And tyre wear as we crossed the line after 4 hours was 9% on the rear right, 10% front left, 13% rear left, 16% front right. And at this point, I've got to be honest, the car was an absolute nightmare. But it was still drivable as long as you adjusted your driving style and just reined things back in. But up to about 4 or 5 laps before this point, it didn't actually feel that bad, and they still felt as though there was enough grip under 20%. Now, as far as drop-off goes, there wasn't really a moment when the tyres just fell off a cliff. It was a gradual decline in performance. And because of that, you were able to adjust your driving style on a lap by lap or corner by corner basis. You just had to be a little bit more precise, a little bit smoother, brake a little bit earlier, get on the gas a little bit more gently. But as the tyres wore, the car felt fine. So when should I have changed tyres? Well, if I was doing a race under 2 hours, then I wouldn't change. But if I was doing a race where there was going to be 2 full stints of 29, 30 laps each, then you would definitely benefit changing tyres after the first stint. Yes, you would lose a lot of time in the pits. Yes, you would lose a bit of time on the first couple of laps. But I think you would maybe lose about 15, 16 seconds. But even if you went 1 second quicker per lap after the tyres had warmed, that's still about 25, 26 seconds. A good 10 seconds quicker over a full stint if you took tyres. But races that are under 2 hours long, like an hour and 40 minutes, like the online championship race, I don't think you would get the time back that you'd lost in the pits. But it is true, there is still quite a bit of grip on tyres which are down to about 20%. But it took 4 hours of my life to come to that conclusion. But on the plus side, I've learned Paul Ricard. So if you did like this video or found it useful or informative, please click the like button. And if you want to see more, please consider subscribing. I mean, do us a favour, subscribe. It's took me hours and hours and hours to do this test, way longer than I thought it was going to take. If I'd have known it was going to take that long, I probably wouldn't have done it. So if you've got the time and you fancy it, please click the subscribe button. But as always, thanks for watching. Have a great week. See you later. Cheers.